1985, a year when hairspray was big, collars were popped, and television was terrifying. While mortals tuned in for sitcoms and soap operas, the rest of us were glued to the glow of spooky stories broadcast straight into our souls.
You mean before streaming, right? When you had to actually wait to be scared?
Indeed, dear nephew. Back when horror came in syndicated doses and a missed episode meant you'd never sleep again. Let us tune in and count down the top horror shows of 1985. Programming so chilling, it made Saturday morning cartoons look like exorcism with extra glitter. Man lives in sunlit world of what he believes to be reality. And with that haunting intro, Tales from the Darkside. Tales from the Darkside crept onto screens like a moldy hand reaching from beneath the bed.
That whisper voice gave me the creeps.
Music to my ears. Created by George A. Romero himself, the Syndicated anthology series thrived on low budgets and high anxiety. Each episode was a self-contained tale of terror, often with a twist sharper than a butcher's hook. The show was filmed largely in New York, using minimal sets and lighting to create maximum dread. Guest stars included up-and-coming actors and veterans like Jerry Stiller, Christian Slater. Despite budget limits, the writing was king, adapted from horror legends like Clive Barker and Stephen King.
Didn't King's word processor of the gods air in 85?
Indeed, a story about a magical word processor that could delete people from existence, a tool I may or may not use on our HOA president.
So basically, Goosebumps for grown-ups?
No, Goosebumps, yes, but followed by existential dread, despair, and a creeping fear that you left the door unlocked. With themes of morality, madness, and monsters, Tales from the Darkside remains one of the most underrated horror shows of the decade, and 1985 was its golden year. Now don't touch that dial. Up next, a reboot with pedigree and peril, submitted for your approval. The return of a classic. In 1985, the Twilight Zone stepped back into the spotlight.
For 20 years, the portal has been closed. It is about to be reopened. This is a detour, a twist in time, a curve of space. Journey into man's imagination with America's most fantastic storytellers. Coming soon to CBS, all new tales from the Twilight Zone.
New stories, new fears, and a fresh coat of dread for a new generation.
Wasn't this the show that made you sleep with a lava lamp on?
That was unrelated. I just like the ambience. But yes, Rod Serling's iconic series was resurrected with a bigger budget, bolder effects, and some stories that still haunt syndication schedules today. It premiered on CBS in September of 1985. Episodes featured a mix of remakes of original Serling classics and brand new nightmare fuel. Unlike the original, these episodes were often longer and aired in hour-long blocks with multiple segments per episode. The tone, much darker, less, oh no, I wished for too much, and more, you're trapped in purgatory with a fax machine possessed by your mother's ghost. Notable episodes. Saturday, a man accidentally calls his own apartment and himself answers. Night Crawlers, a Vietnam vet's PTSD becomes horrifyingly literal as his war memories materialize into deadly reality. Button.
In this way, you can push the button.
So,
when you push the button, two things will happen. First, someone whom you do not know will die.
Button. Press this button and someone you don't know will die, but you get $200,000. Yes, the one that inspired the Box movie with Cameron Diaz.
If you push the button, two things will happen. First, someone somewhere in the world whom you don't know will die.
But the show did it better.
Didn't Bruce Willis show up in one of these?
Indeed, alongside Morgan Freeman, Helen Mirren, it was a who's who of, wait, I know that guy. This reboot didn't pull punches. Some stories were cerebral, others nightmare fuel, but all of them made you second guess what was real and what was broadcast directly into your subconscious.
So basically the Twilight Zone came back, realized it was the 80s and doubled down on weird?
Precisely, and we're all the better and more paranoid for it. Once upon a time, the man who gave us dinosaurs, aliens, and angry sharks decided to dip his quill into the weird and wonderful, and so came amazing stories. A show that asked, what if bedtime stories were slightly radioactive?
So, like, you're afraid of the dark with an Amblin budget?
Oh, precisely, dear boy. Produced by Steven Spielberg, Amazing Stories. Debuted on NBC in 1985 and brought high concept, fantasy and horror, and sci-fi right into prime time. Now, we did another video. Look that one up. It was the top 5 scary episodes of Amazing Stories, Jodie. Yes. Now, Spielberg originally intended the show as a weekly outlet for cinematic-style short stories, drawing from the Twilight Zone, AC Comics, and his own childhood fascinations. The budget, massive. NBC reportedly gave Spielberg over $1 million per episode, unheard of for TV at the time. It featured Oscar-winning directors, screenwriters, including Martin Scorsese, Clint Eastwood, and Brad Bird. This wasn't your average anthology. It was like a Saturday morning cartoon got spliced with the Outer Limits and scored by John Williams. Well, the title was scored by John Williams. Oh, let's see. Noteworthy spooky episodes. The Mission, a WW2 tail gunners trapped in the belly of a plane and the landing gear won't deploy. Emotional, intense, and ends with a literal cartoon miracle. Go to the head of the class.
Mr. Beans warned Peter that no woman is worth losing your head over. But it wasn't Peter's head that was about to be lost. From the director of Back to the Future, an amazing 1-hour Friday night special. Someone is going to get the attention for this.
You won't escape my...
Parental discretion advised.
Christopher Lloyd plays a zombified reanimated school teacher. Think Reanimator meets Detention. Oh, Jodie, it's one of my personal favorites. It's directed by Robert Zemeckis.
This show confused me as a kid. One week I'd be crying, the next week I was terrified.
Oh, that's the beauty of it. You never knew if you get whimsy or soul-crushing despair. Despite mixed reviews and modest ratings, Amazing Stories gained a cult following and influenced later shows like Tales from the Crypt, Goosebumps, and even Black Mirror. It was revived briefly by Apple Plus in 2020, though the original 1985 run remains the most gloriously weird. Whether it made you weep, scream, or stare blankly at your Pop-Tarts, Amazing Stories showed that horror could wear many faces, including a very friendly one with glowing eyes. And now from Spielberg's Dream Factory to the master of suspense himself, let's step into the show that returned from the grave with a vengeance. Good evening. In 1985, a very familiar figure made a dramatic return to television. No, not me.
It's the one with the creepy music and the murder every week, right?
Good evening.
Indeed, the one, the only, the original sinister storyteller, Mr. Alfred Hitchcock. Revived in all his macabre glory with a brand new anthology series, Alfred Hitchcock Presents, the 1985 edition. The setup, a reboot of the original 1955-65 series. Alfred Hitchcock Presents returned in 1985 as a mix of remakes of classic episodes and brand new stories. Aired first as an NBC TV movie in May 1985 before launching into a full series format that fall. The intro still featured Hitchcock himself. Imagine the Twilight Zone, but with murder and a lot more puns. Each episode, a standalone morality tale, often ending with a twist, a corpse, or both. Ooh, classic episodes. Revenge, a psychological spiral involving a comatose wife and a man with vengeance in his heart. Lamb to the slaughter, a woman murders her husband with a frozen leg of lamb, then cooks it and serves it to the detectives. Delicious irony.
This show was classy and creepy, like being stabbed with a silver letter opener.
Oh, precisely. Less gore, more irony, a horror of manners. Now, it gained critical respect for keeping the original tone while updating it for modern sensibilities. Brought classic suspense back to prime time without an over-reliance on monsters or blood. Introduced younger audiences to the storytelling genius of Hitchcock, even if they thought he was just that round guy who tells murder jokes. It reminded us that fear isn't always loud. Sometimes it just knocks once and smiles. And now, dear viewers, we end not with a scream, but a whisper, one filled with rockets, ghosts, time travelers, and things you thought only lived in your dreams. In 1985, the great Ray Bradbury invited us into his imagination, and what a strange, wonderful, and often terrifying place it was.
People ask, where do you get your ideas? Well, right here. All this is my Martian landscape. Somewhere in this room is an African veldt. Just beyond, perhaps, is a small Illinois town where I grew up. And I'm surrounded on every side by my magician's toy shop. I'll never starve here. I just look around, find what I need, and begin. I'm Ray Bradbury, and this is... Well then, right now, what shall it be? Out of all this, what do I choose to make a story? I never know where the next one will take me. And the trip? Exactly one half exhilaration, exactly one half terror.
Didn't he write that one about the haunted carnival?
Oh, he did. Something wicked this way comes, but Ray Bradbury Theater was his playground. Every episode opened his personal study, typewriters, artifacts, and drawer labeled Ghost Stories. And then the lights would dim and we'd go somewhere unreal. It premiered on HBO in the US in 1985 after launching in Canada the year before. Every episode was based on a short story written by Bradbury himself, sometimes decades earlier. It wasn't just science fiction. These were psychological horror tales, the Twilight Zone-esque twist, and emotional meditations with a sinister edge. Now, notable episodes. Marionettes, Inc. A man replaces himself with a robot clone to escape his nagging wife, but the robot has plans of its own. The Crowd. A man injured in a car crash notices the same bystander appears at every fatal accident, and they never seem to age. The Playground. A father fears the same childhood bullies now haunt his son's playground. Trauma made manifest.
Wait, was this for kids?
Oh, heavens no. It was for anyone who's ever had a beautiful dream that ends in a whisper of dread. Bradbury's poetic tones set it apart. Less gore, more soul. It played like bedtime stories for grown-ups who never stopped being afraid of the dark. It gave audiences a taste of horror rooted in loss, longing, and morality, not just monsters. It proved that horror doesn't have to shout to be heard. Sometimes it just writes a letter.
And then mails it from a mailbox that wasn't there yesterday.
No, quite, Jodie. So, There you have it, fiends. The top spooky TV shows of 1985, from rebooted nightmares and cartoon terrors to literary specters and satellite transmitted screams. This was the year horror made itself at home.
And we still watched it all without blinking.
Of course we did. We're trained professionals in trauma retention. Until next time, may your antenna be tuned, your reruns remain horrifyingly timeless, and don't forget to subscribe, tell your friends, hit the like button, and tell us below what was your favorite Ray Bradbury story.